What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Stock Hustle channel with your boy William. Today is Sunday, October 24th. As always, guys, nothing that is discussed in these videos is financial advice. It is simply financial education. I simply want to teach people how they don't have to slave in a 9-to-5 to make money. You can simply hustle 24/7 in the markets and be even more profitable than you ever dreamed or imagined. But as always, let's get into it. So today's ticker is going to be CHPT, or otherwise known as Charge Points Holding Incorporated. So, as you can tell from the name, this is an EV charging company. If you've seen any of my other videos, you guys know that I'm super bullish on Blink, especially with that massive bull flag. If you haven't seen my Twitter, check it out. I did post Blink is sitting inside of a golden pocket. If you have ever done a Fibonacci retracement on a stock, if you don't know what a golden pocket is, Investopedia, I'll leave it in the comments below. I'll let you guys see that. However, I did want to talk about one of their competitors, which does hold the biggest percentage of market share. Specifically, ChargePoint does own 70% of market share when it comes to EV charging. So this is obviously a giant. But you may be wondering, well, why did it go from $47 trading at its high at the end of last year, beginning of this year, and currently sitting at $21.35? That is an absolutely good question. So with EVs, you got to remember, not everybody drives an EV yet. That's something that's heading towards the future. So they're projecting long-term. This is a long-term play. This is not a short-term hold to become rich overnight, right? This is a long-term position. Sometimes people prefer long-term positions, right? Not everybody has the time to be checking their trading app every single minute of every single day. Some people want that reassurance. They can just put their money in and keep adding and adding and adding, and with time the money will grow, right? That's another strategy. Everybody has different strategies in the market. It's just based on your preference. But why am I talking about this one when I had already talked about Blink? Well, if I'm already bullish on Blink, and Blink is nowhere near as big as this company, then this company has even more potential, being that it holds 70% of the market share. But before we get into the financials and some of the information that I found, who's holding, who's not, blah, 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 like I always do, I wanted to give you some fundamentals of the chart. So I know a lot of you guys have questions in relation to like how to find support and resistance. I'm going to teach you guys a little trick. Obviously, if I'm wanting to know what the stock will do back here, or where closer to me, where it's just recently happened in the last couple of weeks, obviously I can set a trend line here. But if I want to have confirmation of that support or resistance, I wouldn't start here. I would start back here in previous history, right? Because this is going to tell me what the stock has already done. So what I'm looking for is a channel in that lower end, right? So I'm trying to find something with multiple touch points anywhere from here to here, right? And there's actually one right here. I'm comfortable drawing a line of support here. So you draw your line of support, make sure you line up all your touch points, and then you extend this bad boy out, show on the right, and then we'll change it to white so you guys can see it visible. And boom, we have another support and resistance. Now, if I want to check it, I go obviously to current times, right? And then I look for more additional touch points. Well, I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional touch points. So that would be a confirmation of support and resistance. And that's an easy way you guys can kind of set channels. So as we see, we are trading in this 2476 to 1963 channel. And we've been sitting in here essentially for the last, what is that? Since about August, early August, we broke into this channel and we've been basically trading in here. We had a little false breakdown here, but we've been consolidating here. Now, today, as of current, this past Friday, we are sitting in a buy period on our MACD. We are sitting directly above neutral in the RSI, directly above neutral, where it's sitting at 57. The dotted line, as you see, is 50. And then our ATR, or average true range, is giving us a 91-cent swing, or for those that use this heavily, a $1.82 swing to the top side or to the bottom side. Again, ATR doesn't tell you if it will go up or down. It just tells you the potential of the swing that you may have. So that gives you some fundamental basis for ChargePoint, the ticker, and where we sit on the chart. Our next, let's see, resistance would be 24.76. After that would be 28. 45, and then 36.37. Obviously you guys can see that, but I do also want to point out one important thing. From the top of this peak here to current, you see this trend line that I drew in red. We are respecting this trend line. We are still within it. So to break out of this trend would mean we would have to formulate candles on the top side of this red line. So keep that in mind, right? This is a position where you would want to establish a position and keep adding to it and dollar cost average in, keeping your average low, so that when the run up does happen, as we always say in the stock market, you buy low, you sell high, right? But that kind of gives you some fundamentals for the chart. Now, let's get into some financials. They do have a website specifically that I did take the liberty of already looking at for you guys. As you guys can see, it does give you some financials, some breakdowns, some important information that you need to know if you are going to be an investor and why you need to invest, right? Massive total addressable market. As I did mention, they own 70% of the addressable market in EV charging specifically. Current to date, they did give this specific highlight that I thought was interesting. 3 billion electric miles enabled to date, and they have saved more than 120 million gallons of gas. That is a significant amount of money for not everybody owning an EV vehicle. However, they have produced significant amount of EV charging and saved a significant amount of gas. Just imagine when half of the people in this country own an EV, or 75%, right? When we get to those kind of numbers, like what kind of numbers this company is going to throw at you, it's insane. But they do have a presentation attached to their website. I did already take the liberty of pre-screening it. Some important information that I found was this, right? So they are essentially across the entire United States, including into Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, and the Caribbean, including Mexico, our partner down below, and some Central America. But aside from that, they also do have charging in Europe, which is pretty interesting, right? This is probably the first EV charging company I do that has stations in Europe. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That's probably what's leading to them having 70% of the addressable market. If you keep going through this, right, it gives you some more financials, some more projections, how they do home, how they do business, how they do restaurants, stuff like that, where they choose to station, companies they partner with, like Android Pay, Google Pay, right, Google Maps, Apple Maps, Amazon Alexa, Polestar, Volvo. My Alexa's going off, still thinking I'm calling her. Nope, I'm talking about the video. Excuse me. They're going to give a lot of really good information for you. If you are interested in reading it, I will leave this attached in the details of my video below, so you can take a look and take a peek. Why did it freeze? Oh no. Well, there is another point that I wanted to address in this presentation specifically. They do go on to talk about how they do not have or carry any debt. They did attach their financials, which now looks like I'm going to have to go out, and I'm going to have to go back and find that presentation. So presentation here, and where is it? It's back here. This is the important thing that I wanted to show you guys, right? It goes on to talk about their competitors and stuff, but this piece right here, this is important because you need to know this kind of stuff when you're investing in a company, right? Specifically, it gives their financials, right? So first and foremost, we're looking at revenue, right? You want to see revenue growing. Obviously, there is a hesitation here in 2020 because of COVID, but you see it bounce right back in 2021. That's a positive sign to see, number one. Number two, this is the other important piece that I wanted to show you guys. Under liabilities, right? Debt current. So you see that they were holding a significant amount of debt as of January 31st, 2021. But look, as of July 31st, 2021, gone. That is super important, super bullish sign anytime you're investing in a company. If a company is doing share offerings, right? As we saw that they did do some share offerings in late June, early July. If they're using the share offerings to generate revenue and then pay off debt, that to me is super bullish. That means a company is wanting to be around. They're wanting to produce for its consumers. So that to me is a bullish sign. That's how I interpret it. You may interpret it different, but again, that's just me. I'm just giving you my opinion. So I did go on to give you guys some projections. In Nasdaq, it does have a strong buy rating. There are two analysts covering it. Essentially, they are covering it at a high of 46, average, of 32.89, and a low of 24. Well, currently today we're sitting at 21.35, so that still shows upside on either front. Going into institutional ownership, I always like to show you this because I want to show you guys who's holding what. First and foremost, take a look. 1.68 billion bought in quarter one, 827 million bought in quarter two. Quarter three has been a little slower, 32 million, but you want to see that there are no sales. That's important. As of quarter two, there was only 133 million sales compared to all the other bots. That tells you more people are buying than are selling. So that's a bullish sign as well. The other thing I like to show you is who's holding what, right? So I always like to default by shares hold. You always want to see the two giants, Vanguard and BlackRock, but the one I always specifically look for is down here, and that is Renaissance Technologies. Probably one of the greatest hedge funds to produce amazing returns for their client base. Anytime they're involved in a play, that automatically should tell you that their AI system is bullish on this ticker specifically. So going back into the flow, as I always like to end every video, for you guys to give you guys some low-key, short-term, I guess, analysis, if you will. If we take a look at the flow and look just at the charts based on this, you see that it is bullish for the October 29th expiration date at the $22 strike, right? So just a little bit of upside, nothing crazy, nothing major. If we go down here and remove this and remove this and just go straight out of the money only, basically giving a speculation of what people are speculating, right? And we go back into the charts, you see that it does turn bearish. Now, again, please keep in mind, I did explain to you, we do need to break out of this trend line first before we would potentially be able to see any kind of upside. This will not just run off tomorrow, break through this like butter, and then just keep running. And that's not what I'm saying at all, right? It does have to break out of this trend line. If it is respecting this trend line, as you guys can see, it does precede 2021 into 2022 potentially. Again, no one can predict what a stock will do, not including myself, not including anyone else, but that doesn't take away, this company doesn't have any debt. It is projected to continue growing with 70% of the market share being in its possession already, having global leading partners in every industry you can think of. Actually, that's another slide I forgot to miss. I can touch base on that one last slide. This one. This is extremely bullish to me as well. Look at all these companies they do business with. You can literally throw a pin at it and throw one leader in every industry, like Facebook, Netflix, right? Rolls-Royce, UC San Diego, Chevron, 7-Eleven, right? Like all these names that you guys know, Lyft, right? ASU, that's right down the street from me. FedEx, IKEA, I have a couple of those down the street from me too. Like all these, Disney, right? Hyatt, Kohl's, like these are all leading companies in their industries. The fact that they do business with them is super bullish to me too. So that's something you need to keep in mind. Obviously short term, there is no real potential here. Not that I could tell from the options chain. That may change tomorrow, next week, next month, but we'll see. However, that doesn't take away this is a really good long hold for those of you that are interested in having a play that you can just continue to add to. Small amounts here, 5 shares here, 10 shares here, 20 shares here, 50 shares here, and hold them long term. This will pay off royally when it does spike, because eventually that spike will come. As we see more and more every single day, you see more and more EVs on the road. That trend is not going to change. Now with this infrastructure deal coming in, with all this money going in to build up the electrical grid and the electrical infrastructure, they are only going to make more money of that money that's coming to them. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But as always, guys, if you have questions, leave it down in the comments below. I'll be happy to address them. Don't forget, you can always follow me on Twitter and IG. And until then, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.